With BlueSky Hypnosis. Today is Friday, live at 5. We're going to be talking about, well, the title for today is Arrest Anxiety and Free Your Inner Peace. And as part of this broadcast today, I'm going to be doing something that I haven't done yet on one of these lives, and that is and it's kind of an experiment, to incorporate a live meditation, hypnosis, kind of, I'm imagining sort of in the first third, maybe halfway through. So we'll talk a little bit about what anxiety is, what causes it, things about triggers, what hypnosis is and how that can really help with anxiety. And then we'll actually invite you, if you want to participate, and I will guide you through a very gentle, easy, hypnotic relaxation session, very much like meditation. And then afterwards, if you have questions, we can talk about the questions you had. Maybe some people will like to share what it was like for them to do this exercise. And then there may be other questions about stress and anxiety and how hypnosis can help you with that. Before we do all that, the standard disclaimer: I am not a doctor. I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm a hypnotist and a life coach. Been doing this work now. This is my 17th year of doing this work. Everything that I talk about comes from that perspective and from working with thousands of people over that period of time. And when you do this, when you work with so many people, certain patterns emerge. And when I can kind of consolidate a pattern in my mind, it really helps me become just a little bit more effective. And so that's the perspective that I'm coming from. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat bar. Just let me know that you're here. It's great to see familiar names. It's great to see new people. By the way, I hope you had an awesome set of holidays. Christmas, if you celebrate other holidays, awesome. New Year's, all that good stuff. Because we've been on a little bit of a hiatus, I think, for the last 3 weeks or so. Did some traveling and whatnot. So I hope you guys are doing really well, and that all of that time was really good to you. So without further ado, let's talk about and again, my perspective on anxiety. So what I always return to, because it makes sense for me, it helps me to understand it, is the fact that your autonomic nervous system, that automatic process that runs everything about your body, only has two modes. It has the fight or flight mode. Everybody knows what that is, right? Your heart starts beating and your blood pressure goes up. You may be starting to perspire, depending on how intense that fight or flight response is. That's one of the two modes of the autonomic nervous system. The other mode is rest and digest. If you're not in one, you're automatically in the other one. Now, everyone knows that fight or flight is stimulated primarily when the mind, the subconscious mind, perceives a threat, and this is specifically a threat to your physical safety. Now, the key is that you can be looking around in your environment while you're having a panic attack or while you're having anxiety, and there's no threat that you can perceive consciously in that moment. But what's happening, and the reason why your body's going into this fight or flight mode, is because it is perceiving a threat. Now, obviously, this presupposes that you haven't just, done a tremendous amount of caffeine, right? Like 5-hour energy, and you don't normally do caffeine, and the caffeine, which is a drug, is putting you into that fight or flight response. That's the reason, by the way, that people feel energized. They feel maybe that their mind is clear when they drink or they consume caffeine, because the caffeine is actually stimulating an artificial fight or flight response. So let's say that you don't have any kind of drug that would be doing that in your system, and that consciously you look around and everything seems normal to you. There doesn't seem to be a threat there. Well, you can be sure that there's something in your immediate environment or something that you were thinking about, either consciously or subconsciously, that the subconscious mind perceived as a threat, and it moved you into that fight or flight response. So in terms of resolving anxiety permanently, what I always am seeking to do with my clients is to find out when in the past this dynamic was created. When was that software code written that says that the color yellow is a threat, or when somebody has a certain tone of voice, that's a threat, or when you think about your bank account and you get worried about it, it is perceived as a threat. to go back to that moment in time and kind of resolve or heal it in your mind, so that when the trigger comes up in the future, you don't have that same fight or flight physiological automatic response. Now, hypnosis is a very sort of mystical term, right? I've always said that it's a two-edged sword. So one edge of the sword is people are sort of afraid, not everyone, but many people are kind of afraid of it because they think that if they enter into hypnosis, someone else will control them. Well, the other edge of the sword is it's kind of fascinating for people. It's important to kind of dispel what hypnosis is and lay a very simple framework for it before anybody, in my opinion, enters into that state. I always feel like that's a valuable thing to do. So you go in and out of hypnosis every day on your own without a hypnotist sitting there. When you watch television, you are fixated on a flickering image. It's flickering so fast your conscious mind can't perceive it, but it's a flickering image at a fixed distance. And there are stories that start to draw you in. And when this happens, your brain waves begin to slow down. They slow from beta brain waves. That's your kind of everyday average walking around, talking state of your brain waves. It slows down. The frequency slows down into alpha. If it keeps going, it goes into theta. If it keeps going even more, it goes into delta. And as you go deeper and deeper and deeper, you start to get to the place where you would actually probably drift off to sleep. Well, hypnosis, a light trance, is very effective, and that's called an alpha trance. When someone moves into an alpha trance by watching television, or it could happen when you're reading a book, it could happen when you're driving your car, you pull into your driveway, you can't remember driving the last 10 minutes. It can happen when you're playing sports. All of these things, when this happens, the brain waves slow down, and the autonomic nervous system says, oh, we're at peace. Let's switch from, we could be in fight or flight, let's switch over to rest and digest. And all kinds of amazing physiological things happen when you do this, when you go into a state of hypnosis, which is also kind of a state of deep relaxation. And as an aside, hypnosis is also known as a state of hyper learning, meaning that your subconscious mind kind of opens to whatever is being presented to it. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're in hypnosis and a suggestion is presented to you, that like a trained seal, you will act on that suggestion. But it's one of the most powerful ways of getting something embedded into your subconscious mind, where it becomes an unconscious competence. You don't have to think about tying your shoes. You've done it thousands of times. You don't have to think about, how do I shake someone's hand or walk across the room? Your subconscious mind is handling all of that for you because it's become an unconscious competence. You find that same thing when you, start a new job. In the first few days, you're totally bewildered. You don't even know where the bathroom is. Everyone has to tell you where to go, how to get there, how to do this procedure, and so on. And the longer you're there, the more that information begins to get driven deeper into your subconscious mind through repetition. When that happens, it becomes an unconscious competence, and now you don't really have to think about it. You can just carry out certain kinds of rote tasks over and over again because it has been embedded in your subconscious mind. Well, that's basically what we want to do when it comes to things like if a person's overeating, or if they feel unsafe in a certain place. Right? So we want to clear away the obstacle, whatever the situation, probably a trauma that created that condition in the first place is, clear that away, and then introduce its opposite. I feel safe and secure when I'm in a group of people socializing. I feel safe and secure and confident and happy when I'm speaking in public before a large group of people. So hopefully that makes sense. I want to see who is here. Marie Hogan, shout out to you, and Brenda Krieger, and Julianne Castelbuono, good to see you. Just scrolling down here, Sarah W. Hello, Sarah. And shout out to Claudia Thompson, hello to you, and Lana from Nebraska, all right. Nancy Hoover is happy with the topic, and Joyce Shaw and I were communicating earlier today. I'm so glad you're here, Joyce. Just want to see if there are any questions. Brenda Krieger says, love hypnosis. Martina Massey, shout out to you. Bella Farfalla, good old caffeine. I'm busted. Hi, everyone. That is very funny. Bella, I think I owe you an answer to a question or a comment that you put on one of my videos. I recognize your name, but welcome. I'm glad you're here. And yes, caffeine is treated actually by the body as a poison. And that is why the body moves into a stress response when caffeine is introduced. It reduces blood flow to the brain. And when I did research on this, I found by up to 53%. Caffeine is considered a drug, and people can become dependent on it. And just like any other kind of drug, where you could get the results you were looking for, waking up in the morning, clarity, energy, go off to a job you hate, for example, with 1 cup, 20 years down the road, you could have a person who's drinking 3 cups. You could have a person who's drinking 5 or more cups because that's how drugs behave. 1 line of cocaine works great when people first get into it, and after a period of time, they're going to need 3. 1 beer is not going to do it anymore. Now they're going to need 3. So, caffeine is perhaps the most widely used drug in our country. And it's really interesting when you start to investigate the effects that it has on people. And for anybody who is dealing with stress, they're totally stressed out, or they're dealing with anxiety, it's probably valuable to do a little bit of research into the effects of caffeine, how it constricts your vascular system, how it elevates your heart rate and all these other things. Because it would seem to me, if you're already struggling with something like anxiety, adding a drug that makes you essentially more anxious might not be the wisest thing in the world. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm a hypnotist and a life coach. Don't take my word for it. Go do your own research. But it is food for thought anyway. All right, a couple more things popped in here. I just want to see if there are any questions yet. Claudia Thompson says, when I do your hypnosis videos, I'm going to just pop her up here. When I do your hypnosis videos, I often wonder if my mind wanders occasionally. Am I not actually entering hypnosis? This is a really great question, Claudia. And you're certainly not the first person to ask this. So there's 2 parts of your mind. There's your conscious mind and there's your subconscious mind. We've all been trained since we were little kids, like being in a classroom, being scolded by teachers, pay attention, because the kid's wandering off somewhere. Hypnosis is different. It is named after the Greek god of sleep, Hypnos, because hypnosis shares certain characteristics with sleep, but it is not actually sleep. It is a relaxed state. And it is normal for the conscious mind to kind of wander. That's not a problem, because what is happening when a person gets into hypnosis, when their body is relaxed, is that there is a kind of gatekeeper in the mind that opens up. This gatekeeper is called the critical factor or the critical faculty. And when that gatekeeper opens up, we've now established communication with the subconscious mind. And so on those hypnosis video tracks that you're listening to, the hypnotic suggestions, the affirmations, the words that need to get into the subconscious mind are now getting into the subconscious mind, right? I'm just kind of thinking of an analogy here, and I don't know if it's a great one, but it's kind of like back to what I said before about an unconscious competence. A person could regurgitate how to play golf, the steps to donning protective equipment and an air pack, and the right tools to take into a burning building that's on fire. But if you've never actually done it before, if you haven't practiced it multiple times, it is not going to be an unconscious competence because it didn't get into the subconscious mind. So you literally could be asleep. And if someone whispered in your ear over and over again a series of suggestions that you could not consciously register because you were sleeping, you would likely act on those subconscious hypnotic suggestions that were given to you while you were sleeping. So talk about your mind wandering. Being asleep is even more intense, right? The idea is to bypass that critical factor and get that that material, the hypnotic suggestions, into the subconscious mind. So no worries about that whatsoever. And back to the sleep thing, I make lots of tracks that are designed for people to listen to while they're asleep, because when they're asleep, that critical factor is wide open. There's no resistance from the conscious mind. So the mind wandering is A-okay. Thanks for that question. It was a really good one. Okay. Bella says, I have 2 small children. That's my excuse. I live on caffeine. Yeah, absolutely. I get it. Having little kids is not easy. And Bella tells Claudia the same thing. It's perfectly fine for your mind to wander. Absolutely. Brenda Krieger says her mind also wanders during hypnosis, guided meditation, and ASMR. And as I said, that is all perfectly good. All right. So we talked about what anxiety kind of is. It's a, and this is my opinion, it's a fight or flight response. The subconscious mind thinks that you're in a physical threat at that moment, even if your conscious mind looks and says, that is not a physical threat. I mean, just think about, I give this example all the time, so please bear with me. If you're watching a movie and there's a car chase or somebody jumps out of a closet with a knife in their hands, your normal response sitting in a movie theater is maybe shock, jumping back, or gripping the armrests of your seats, or having your heartbeat become slightly elevated, your blood pressure to become elevated. Your body's also dumping adrenaline and cortisol into your bloodstream. And your conscious mind knows it's just a movie. Your conscious mind knows that it's a 2-dimensional image. Your conscious mind knows you are under no threat whatsoever. And yet, you still have the physiological responses of essentially being in danger, being attacked. Something bad is happening or is about to happen, and your body is responding as if. So it's really important to keep that in mind. And so many people that I talk to are understandably frustrated if they're dealing with chronic anxiety and panic attacks and stress. And the worst thing is when they get so mad at themselves and they think that there's something wrong with them. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with them. There's just something in their programming telling them that there's a threat in the room at that moment when there's not. And that programming can be changed. And when it's changed and the trigger happens, that person doesn't move into a stress response. They remain in a calm place. And it doesn't mean that if they're on a safari in Africa and a lion attacks them, that they won't move into that stress response. They most certainly will. But it's a way of kind of getting your life back. All right, I just want to see if there's any other questions here. Sarah W. is saying, is there a potential correlation between anxiety and soul attachments? Yes, I want to just briefly explain for people that don't know what a soul attachment is, or spirit attachment. You have a soul or a spirit, you have a physical body. They marry together when you're in your mother's womb and you're born. When you die, the body stays behind and the soul or the spirit detaches and it goes. If you listen to people who have had near-death experiences, they will often say it goes into the light, and they feel this immense warmth and love, and they don't want to even come back. These are people that have obviously been, resurrected basically with medical intervention. So when the soul or the spirit splits off from the body, we live in a free will universe. That soul or spirit doesn't have to go into the light or heaven or whatever you want to call it. It can stay on this plane. I think that's what we call a ghost. Now that spirit can attach itself to a person who's still in a physical body and become a kind of energetic parasite. So to answer Sarah's question, yes, that could be implicated in stress and anxiety that you feel. It could actually be generated, or it could be compounded by an entity that is attached to you. So one of the things that I do when I work with people one-on-one is we just kind of screen for that. We say, does this person have any spiritual entities or attachments attached to them or their being. And if they do, we move those out. So we know where the client, where the entity ends and the client begins. But that's a really great question, because that is something that that can happen. Brenda Krieger says, I think she's just saying, I don't think I've ever gotten angry with myself for having anxiety, which is wonderful. Good for you, because I think all healing starts from compassion. Compassion for yourself first and foremost, and then compassion for other people. The people who do get upset with themselves for having anxiety are really just compounding the problem. And it's almost, I mean, I know it's easy for me because I look at this from a different direction, but it's almost like a person getting mad at themselves for having a splinter in their toe. It's something, it's a foreign body that needs to be removed. When it's removed, that part of the toe, that wound, will heal itself. Here is Chihuahua, who says, I think anxiety must be a result of being raised in a narcissistic family, or as a result of a narcissistic love partner or a marriage. It could be. It could be. I mean, if one of those situations creates a feeling of being unsafe, of being threatened, absolutely. And just because you grow up, just because you leave the abusive relationship, it doesn't mean that programming isn't still in your subconscious mind. And when it gets triggered, it comes out. So if that were the case, we would want to heal whatever the origin is of what is being perceived as a threat in the subconscious mind. And part of what we might do is use hypnotic regression to go back to the moment at which a trauma created that response, and heal the trauma where it lives, which is in your mind in the past. And when we do that, it's like we rewrite the software code in your subconscious mind, so that when the trigger is pulled in the future, you don't have the same patterned response. You have a different response. It's almost like neutral. In fact, it's almost weird when you heal something in your mind and you find yourself in a situation that normally would have produced some kind of major response. So a panic attack or an anxiety, major anxiety, or rage and anger. And this time, when the trigger's pulled, it's like the gun doesn't fire. And when this first happens, it's almost confusing. Not just to you, if you're the client, but to the people in your life. And I have clients saying this to me kind of every week, that they'll be in a situation where, other family members are observing them, and they're like, how come you didn't, what's going on with you? Like, how come you're so different? How come you didn't flip out when such and such a thing happened? Which is really, as I'm sure you can imagine, a very beautiful thing. All right, let's see if there's one or two more here, and then we'll move into the exercise. Marie Hogan says, Peter, I had anxiety attacks 8 years ago for about 2 years when I lost both my husband and mom. Oh, so sorry. After I adjusted to being alone, they stopped. Now, once in a while, I find myself feeling anxious, continued randomly, and I think it's just me second-guessing decisions I have to make. That could be, or it could be that those wounds weren't entirely healed, or it could be some other wound coming up. I mean, one of the concepts in any kind of holistic healing is they call it the layers of the onion. And when you peel back one layer, another layer that might need to be addressed can rise to the surface. And you deal with that one, and a certain period of time could go on, and then the next one might come up. But eventually you get through all of that. And with each one, the typical response would be, if it's successful, is that you feel lighter. You just feel lighter, you feel more optimistic, you feel just kind of happier in general. But thank you for that, Marie. Kitten in the Moon. Hello, Kitten. After the loss of dad, mom, my brother, and about 5 friends, oh my gosh, in quick succession, I ended up with paralyzing anxiety. Much better now, but it was a miserable thing to experience. Total loss of control. I can only imagine. That just seems almost like you're a soldier in war. going through so many losses in such quick succession. And it sounds like things are better now for you. I do have a track on healing grief. So if anybody's interested in this, and maybe it is or it isn't you, Kitten, but anybody that is watching this now or later, if you've lost a person close to you or several people close to you, and it feels like it's not, there's more work to be done there, there's more healing. There's a track on my channel, BlueSky Hypnosis. Subscribe if you haven't. And if you just do a search, just click that little magnifying glass thing and type in grief, G-R-I-E-F, grief. Then 2 tracks will come up, one for the loss of a pet and one for the loss of a loved one. And that track, if you do it, especially several times, like, over a period of time, so not like, every day or anything, but maybe once a week for 3 or 4 weeks. If you do that, that I have found is a really good tool to heal grief. So thank you for sharing that with us, Kitten in the Moon. Sincerely appreciate that. Also says, I know what you mean about the anger. In my case, it was complete frustration at myself for being so weak and useless. Yeah, this is where that compassion comes in. And I think in my opinion, every healing road that I've ever walked for part of the way with any client over the last 17 years, any successful healing path begins with that compassion, with that treating yourself maybe the way, if you're a parent, you would treat a child. Not blaming, not getting angry. And I know that that's not a panacea, that's not a total fix at all, but it's a starting point. And from that starting point or foundation, we build upon that step by step. All right, so let's do, if you guys are interested, as I said, haven't done this before on this live format. I've done this in other formats, but not in this particular live format. Just a very simple hypnotic exercise for relaxation. And participate if you want to. You can just watch if you don't want to. But I think it might be kind of interesting. And certain things, like I'm gonna kind of paint pictures in your mind. And I have a picture of a beach here, where I like to go kayaking. And I'm just gonna create a setting in your mind on a beach. Now, I'm gonna do this because lots of people like beaches. Does everyone like it? No. But when you're working with a larger group of people and you don't really know, what everyone's personal preference is, you have to kind of pick something and move from there. All right. So what I'd like you to do is just close your eyes. Just close your eyes down and take in a deep breath in through your nose and let it all go slowly through your mouth. And now just breathe normally. And I'd like you to put your attention inside. Put your attention on a part of your body that already feels comfortable. On part of your body that already feels at peace. And this could be one of your feet. It could be a hand. It could even be an earlobe. But I would say that no matter what shape you're in, there's at least one part of your body that right now actually feels perfect. So put your mind on this part of your body and imagine that you can take your mind into this part of your body. Notice the quality of these really good feelings. Notice how it feels. And give this really good feeling a color. And I'd like you to imagine now that you're able to bathe either in a tub or in a swimming pool or in a lake or the ocean, whatever you choose. You're able to bathe in the same color of these really good feelings, so that the rest of your body can share in these really good feelings. And as you listen to my voice, and as you breathe easily, as your heart gently beats, allow your body to relax deeper now. And know that the deeper you go, the better you feel, the more whole, the more complete. And the better you feel, the deeper you go. With each easy beat of your heart. I'd like you to imagine now that you are at the top of a beautiful staircase. And at the bottom of this staircase is that beach that I was talking about, where the sun is shining, where the sand is warm, where you can feel even better. And with each number that I count, take one step down the staircase. And with each step you take down, let it be an invitation to your body to relax deeper now. 10. Taking that first step down. Let your hand be sliding or gliding down a sturdy handrail or banister. 9. Notice if you can feel or sense or be aware of your foot touching the next step down. 8. Down. 7. Another step down. Allowing all the muscles in your body to become heavier with relaxation. Like that feeling that you can have in the morning when you first wake up, but you haven't moved yet. 6. And you know you can go right back to sleep. 5. By drifting down, down. 4. Another step down. 3. And with each step down, as your body relaxes more, all the tensions of your life can just drain away. Like draining away from the soles of your feet. Draining away. 2. so that you can feel so much better. 1 and 0, all the way down, all the way down onto this beautiful beach. And walking down to where the sand and the water meets. And I'd like you to see a word written in the sand, as though someone wrote it there with a stick. The word is anxiety. And I'd like you to just use the sole of one of your feet to gently erase that word, to smooth out the sand, and make the word disappear. Gently erase it, like erasing a word written in chalk on a chalkboard. And when the word is gone, hear the word gone in your mind. And go 3 times deeper. Gone. And now write a new word in the sand with your finger. The word peace. P-E-A-C-E. Peace. And as you breathe, feel peace flowing into your lungs. Feel peace traveling throughout your body. And then just sit on the beach and look out over the sparkling water. And feel the truth about you. That you are magnificent. That you are unique. That you are powerful. That there's no one else on the planet exactly like you. That you came here to this planet to bring something special. That this gift lives inside of you. And that this gift is even now coming more and more to the surface, where you can share it with others for their benefit and for yours. And feel all the love that lives inside of you. And that, like the gift, it's rising now, rising up to the surface. This love is bubbling up and rising up to the surface, the way bubbles in a champagne glass rise up. and bringing with it profound feelings of optimism, of peace, of confidence. And that little voice in your head can be repeating, I am love. I am peace. I am optimistic. I am unique. Feel all of this bubbling up, rising up inside of you. Rising up to where you can feel it. That immense love. All that optimism, confidence. To take the steps in life you were meant to take. To move in the directions you were meant to move. To feel the feelings of well-being, of calm, of joy that is your birthright. Breathe in all of these good feelings. And each time you breathe, it's a reminder to your deeper mind of who you really are. Immense love. Unique. Creative. Filled with the joy of 1,000 suns. And notice how that joy creates radiance inside of your body. And how the radiance creates radiant health. How it creates well-being. All is well. I am well. It's safe for me to be calm and relaxed now. It's safe for me to release any pain or tension from the past and stand in my own magnificence. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 10. And as I do this, I'd like you to begin returning back to the present time and place by coming back up the stairs, so that when I count the number 10, your eyes flutter open and you feel so much better than before. Perhaps even when I count the number 10, feeling like a great weight has been lifted, a sense of relief. 1, 2, 3. Taking the first 3 steps back up the staircase. Your body loose and relaxed. 4, 5, and 6. Another 3 steps up. Feel all of those good feelings inside, available to you now, bubbling up through you like bubbles in a champagne glass. of joy and optimism, of confidence, maybe even gratitude for your life. 7, 8, and 9, almost all the way back up. Eyes are clear as though bathed in cool spring water. And on the next number I count, eyes fluttering open like the wings of a beautiful butterfly, and feeling perfect in every way. Physically perfect, mentally perfect, emotionally calm, stable, balanced, and serene. And 10, eyes open, all the way back. Okay. Reorient yourself to the present time and place. And because I can't see you, I don't know who did it, if anybody did it. So if anyone did follow along on this journey and you would like to share some aspects, like how you feel right now, do you feel any different right now than you felt before? That would certainly be greatly appreciated. And you can probably tell the video is a little bit different. The battery in my DSLR, I think, died. Sometimes I miss details. And so I had to switch over to the laptop camera. Sorry about that. So here's Brenda Krieger is saying, wow, that was great. Awesome. So Brenda, if you would be willing, let us know. Like what did you like about that? Like what did you notice? That would be really cool to hear that. Kitten in the Moon is saying, I feel delightfully relaxed. That's awesome. Good for you, Kitten. Brenda says that I feel very relaxed. It was hard to come back though. Yeah, that is so typical, you know? And I think part of that is because in our modern hectic paced society, it's never been this hectic actually, that we've had these devices calling our attention constantly, that we've been so divorced from the natural world, that we have been so hypermobile, that so much is being asked of us that, you know, it's just crazy. Like all the new things that we have to learn compared to somebody who lived a couple hundred years ago, or even 100 years ago, you know, 50 years ago. You know, I'm dating myself, but I can remember when the fax machine came out. Like, oh, it was a fax machine. Like all this new technology that we constantly have to learn. Like it's not like you just get to this place of mastery because things are just changing so fast. Well, that makes it harder to feel like you belong. It makes it harder to feel like you can relax. It's just more and more stress built up. So when someone has the opposite experience like this, the contrast can be so dramatic and can really feel like, yeah, I didn't want to come back. I felt so good. I haven't felt that way in a long time. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. I'm just scrolling down here. So Ken Greg says, I could go to sleep right now. Yeah. Amen. Janice Shaw said, wow, awesome. Would love to, excuse me, Joyce Shaw. I'd love to hear what that means for you, Joyce. I'd love to hear any details if you want to share them. Marie Hogan says, it was lovely, Peter. I could feel the chi flowing through my body, the also called prana or life force energy, the chi. That's awesome. Joanne says, that was wonderful. My lower back relaxed and I can't remember the last time that happened. Oh, that's fantastic. Way to go. That is awesome. And it helps you to understand, I guess, too, how tension in the body, especially chronic tension in the body, can lead to chronic pain in the body. And that when you relieve that tension, and I'm not saying, because you didn't mention anything about pain, that when you relieve that tension, the pain can actually go away. And if you get to the root cause of what's causing this chronic tension, that sometimes can be this massive win for people, because some of that tension can be trauma that happened years and years and years ago, and we're still carrying it inside of our bodies. I can't remember the exact quote, but Deepak Chopra talks about how we actually carry trauma and pain from the past in the cells of our body. And the deeper aspects of this work, like hypnotic regression and the spiritual aspects of it, are designed to repair, to heal the old trauma so that you're not carrying it around in your body. Oh, awesome. Waffle Queen, hello to you. She says, my headache is gone. Fantastic. There's an example, the tension, and when the tension is released, the pain goes away. So really good for you, Waffle Queen. That's awesome. K-Travel Tarot said that felt relaxing. Good for you. Claudia Thompson said great. And Brenda Krieger said, I felt the warm sun on my arms. I could hear the seagulls. So cool. So cool. After doing this work for so long, it necessarily, I think, causes me to question what is reality. And my current conception of reality is that there are multiple versions of reality. So there's the reality we're all familiar with, and that's the 5 sense reality. The thing that you and I can both look at something and say, yeah, that's something we call a tree, and we both can say that's the color red, and we can smell something and say that's a strawberry or whatever. But there's this other reality, I'm going to call it a reality, that happens inside of your consciousness. So if a composer, if you were a composer and you heard a melody inside your head that the world hadn't heard yet, it's real. It's part of reality the moment you hear it in your mind. It doesn't need for you to play it on a piano for it to become reality. It doesn't need for it to have you write it down, on sheet music for it to be reality. It's reality the moment you conceive of it in your consciousness. So the other thing too is that when you can feel the warm sun on your face, when you can hear the seagulls, to this vast majority of your mind, and that part of your mind, the subconscious, controls your body, that's also real. Just like the car chase or the person jumping out of the closet with a knife is real to your body. So there are multiple versions of reality, like those Russian dolls nested one within the other. And I would assert that Brenda, like you did, by going to that beach and feeling the sun on your face and hearing the gulls and whatever else happened, maybe feeling the warmth of the sand or the sound of the waves, that is a version of reality. And when you realize, oh my God, no matter where I am, I can step into that reality if I want to. And how many people inadvertently are stepping into a really horrendous reality inside their mind when that's not what is even surrounding them. You think of these stories of fabulously wealthy people who are drug addicts or they commit suicide or whatever, living in these opulent surroundings, but they've got misery inside of them. We can create heaven and hell inside of us. And I'm not saying that physically being on a beach isn't an awesome thing. It is. And it's easier to create that kind of reality when you're actually there. Like try meditating on a beach. It's incredible. But we do have this enormous power within us. So thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate that, Brenda. Part two says some of the anxiety is metabolical from infections and or injections. It's not all mental. I would totally agree with you. And I don't know if you heard what I said at the outset of this. I talked about how, a person could be feeling extreme anxiety if they just drank 15 cups of coffee. And for some, I'm using that, I'm kind of exaggerating, but if you take certain kinds of drugs, those drugs can, as you say, have a metabolic effect on your body and ultimately on your mind, and that can create a kind of anxiety. I know that if I tried, because I don't really drink caffeine, if I tried to drink even a cup of tea in the 5 or 6 hours before bed, maybe even longer, I would be, wide awake at night with staring at the ceiling because that drug would still be active in my body. So yeah, your point is very well taken, and I totally agree with you. Let's see. Julianne says, also I felt warmer and the heat is down quite low right now. Yeah, that is so cool. And I think part of that can also be that your vascular system, so your veins and your arteries, they can be constricted, right? And caffeine does that, and stress does that. And when you relax, the vascular system actually dilates, and the blood starts flowing more smoothly through there, and perhaps might even reach extremities it doesn't normally reach in that kind of volume. So that can also, it's a theory, can bring more warmth to other parts of your body. Oh, cool. Brenda Krieger says that was a very immersive experience. Absolutely. Very cool. Lana says, I remember going down the 10 steps. I don't remember anything you said after that until I was coming back up the steps. Hopefully my subconscious heard you. 100%, absolutely, your subconscious heard me without question. It just sounds like you went to an extremely deep state of hypnosis. So I talked about how most of us during the day, we're in a beta state. And as the brain waves start to the frequency starts to get lower, you go from beta into alpha. That's a light trance. And then there's high, medium, and low, basically, of alpha. Then you move into theta, high, medium, and low. And then you move into delta. So you might have been moving into sort of a theta state, a deeper theta state is very likely. And what lets me know that that's what the case was and not that you fell asleep is that you followed the hypnotic instructions as you were coming back up the stairs, and it brought you back up from a deep state of hypnosis into, back into probably a beta state where you were able to follow the instructions and come back out. If you had been sleeping, you'd still be sleeping right now, probably. Kitten in the Moon says, the nicest thing was just being able to let go of everything for a while. Such a relief. Here. I'm going to give you a round of applause for that. Chihuahua says, it felt good, Peter. My brain relaxed as a tired muscle. Good for you. Heather Marney. Hello, Heather. She says, thank you. I'm so thankful that I was able to participate in the meditation. I was able to get right into the zone. I listened to a few of your tracks that I can instantly relax. Your voice is perfect. Well, thank you so much, Heather. That's very kind of you. Martine says, I loved it. I am not very relaxed, but this is on me. Difficult time for me yet. I feel a lot better now. Well, I'm glad, Martine. I'm very happy about that. Brenda Krieger says, when you mentioned the word anxiety, I started feeling more anxiety for a brief moment. Yeah, that's a really good point. There's something called fractionation. And the best way to understand the hypnotic term fractionation is to think about an alarm clock with a snooze button. So if your alarm clock goes off at, say, 6 in the morning, and you reach over, you're exhausted, you reach over and you press the snooze button. Let's say that snooze button goes for, I don't know how long they go for because I don't use the snooze button, but let's say it goes for 60 seconds or maybe 3 minutes. It goes for 3 minutes. You go back to sleep. Well, when you go back to sleep, you actually go into a deeper state of sleep. If that 3 minutes later, the snooze, alarm goes off again and you hit the button again, you go into an even deeper state of sleep. So each time you go back in, you go deeper. That's called fractionation. And having anxiety written on the sand is not exactly fractionation, but it's a form of it where it brings the problem, if you will, back into your mind. And when it comes into your mind, you may start feeling a little bit of it, but then we wipe it away, right? So we're telling the subconscious mind, this is being erased, it's going away, which can help you let go of whatever's causing the anxiety and to go into a deeper state of relaxation. So that was absolutely done on purpose, and it is designed, or it is certainly known that it can bring on a little whisper of that, and then it goes away. Kind of like you can kind of rouse someone. So if, as we were going down the stairs, let's say we got to step 4 or 5, I had said, okay, I want you to come back up the stairs. So go from 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7. And as you do that, start feeling more like you're coming back awake. You're coming back to your normal way of, normal state of being. And then before I come all the way to 10, I go back to 6, back to 5, back to 4, back to 3. That would be an example of fractionation, of bringing you back up and then bringing you back down. And as you come back down, you tend to go deeper. Okay. Excellent observation. Joyce Shaw, I will use again. All right, you're welcome. Dolores, hello, Dolores. Peter, I partially meditated due to certain distractions, but wondering if you'll be having more meditation sessions. Yes, I think I will. So much of it has to do with you guys and what you like. I'd like to share something that I'm considering doing. And if you would be willing to give me your feedback, I would love to hear it. I'm actually thinking about creating a second channel that I link with this one. And I'm tentatively thinking about calling it Jet Ski Meditation. So the idea would be to go on like an adventure on a jet ski in the ocean and go to, like a deserted beach someplace. And on the deserted beach to do a meditation, to do hypnosis sessions, virtual hypnosis sessions there, film the whole thing, and then post it up on this particular channel. So it's just kind of it's a new thought. It just came to me like yesterday, and I haven't bounced it off anyone except my poor wife, who has to listen to everything like this that I talk about. But if you guys have any input on this, I'd love to hear it. As I was saying before, when your mind goes to a place of relaxation in your mind, like a beach, for example, or a lake, or the mountains, or a river, or a stream, or the forest, it can help people just seeing that to relax. It's been scientifically proven that not just being in those environments physically, but seeing photos of them or seeing an immersive kind of movie experience of those kinds of places can bring deep relaxation to people. So that concept of taking people literally on a virtual journey to a kind of a beautiful place, and then in that beautiful place doing a meditation or a virtual hypnosis session, and then kind of coming back from that. So if anyone has any opinions on that, I'd love to hear it. And certainly on the live, I would like to be able to incorporate more dynamism. So meditations like this one, maybe we do a past life regression. Maybe we meet your spirit guide. Maybe we find out what your purpose in this lifetime is. Maybe we figure out what your spirit name is. Maybe we view the Akashic record. Do things kind of that nature. Or maybe we do a session that deals with physical pain, and we see if we can relieve some of that pain for people. So yeah, I would like to do more interactive stuff, especially if the people who are participating in this think it's a good idea. So just, if you can give me feedback, let me know. I would love to hear. And you can post something here in the comments. After we conclude today, this will be a permanent fixture on my channel, BlueSky Hypnosis. So you can go back to it later. You can put a comment there, or you can send an email to peter@blueskyhypnosis.com. So thank you for asking that question. I really appreciate it. Bella Farfalle says, I'm back. That was awesome. That's great. That's awesome. That was great. K-Travel Turo says, I felt triggered when you said anxiety. I really wanted you to say love. Got it. I would be interested to hear what happened when you erased anxiety and what happened when you wrote the word peace. That would be very interesting to hear. Bella says, the chronic pain version of me is thankful. Well, good for you. Julianne says, I can feel a pulse in my body after that, and I'm also wondering if it's the chi. It feels like I'm part of some energetic ecosystem or something with which I am now in rhythm again. Oh, that's fantastic. That is really good. She further says, like maybe before that I was doing some type of crazy free jazz solo, and now I'm back on timpani with the rest of the orchestra. That's a beautiful way of describing it. I love that. That's really, really beautiful. Jane. Hey, Jane. Jane says, hi, Peter. Hope you were well. I'm so late. So sorry. Definitely will watch the replay. Cool. Well, glad you made it. Brenda Krieger says, jet ski meditation sounds amazing. Well, I love to hear that because I'm super excited about this. Sarah W. says, love that idea. That means a lot to me, Sarah. Thank you. Nancy Hoover says, awesome. And Marie Hogan sounds like an amazing idea. Thank you, Marie. I really, your collective opinion means a lot to me. So thank you so much. So Bella talks about the fractionation that we talked about. Here is Sajoka, 2008. Peter has amazing hypnosis videos. They've been helping during and after COVID. Well, thank you so much, Sajoka. Really appreciate that. Nancy Hoover says, your hypnosis for pain using a mountain for support has been helpful to me. That's so good. Very happy. Do one more here. Kitten Moon says, I listen to Celtic music with scenes of forests and streams. It's amazingly soothing. So I know I'd be interested in the new channel, as long as I'm not required to actually jet ski. No, you're not actually required to jet ski. That is for sure. Although I do have this idea, one more thing, and then I'll get off the subject. And that is, I can imagine offering at some point for the people that want to do this, to do like intense kinds of sessions where it might be like a half day or maybe even a whole day, where we use the skis or maybe kayaks if the person's more into kayaking, because I love kayaking too, and we go out to the island and we have a picnic lunch, and on the island we actually do hypnosis work. That's where we do the work. Like this is super exciting to me. The person would fly down to Florida, stay in a hotel, and we would do maybe 2 days of this kind of work, and we would schedule it so that we're doing the work in these really beautiful places in this more intense way. So not just like a 1 hour session or hour and a half, but we might do a couple, maybe 2 sessions during the day with this these other dynamics involved. So if you have opinions on that, please let me know, because it's, again, these ideas are just kind of firing off in my mind. With that, thank you so much for participating today. Always love it when you guys show up. Love seeing the familiar names and faces, and love seeing the new people as well. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your feedback. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. And next week, let me pop this one down. And next week, what I was thinking about doing next week is an open forum dedicated to weight loss. So we're in the new year. A lot of times people, myself included, overeat during the holidays, and they're looking for support in losing weight. So next week will be an open roundtable to talk about anything that pertains to weight loss, hypnosis, and any of the topics that we normally discuss. So I hope you'll consider joining next Friday live at 5. Have an awesome weekend. Thank you again for your participation, and love you all. Take care.